Léna az elképesztő eredmények említése mellett szóba hozta egy pillanatra a svédek viszonylatában a finnek önértékelési zavarait. Hát Léna még csak először van Magyarországon, úgyhogy nem tudom, hogy milyenek a benyomásai a magyar polgártársaim önértékelési állapotáról. Remélem, hogy ebben is javulást fogunk tudni mi is felmutatni. A következő előadónk viszont már másodszorra jár Magyarországon. Volt szerencsém vele tavaly is találkozni, oktatási előadóként. Pekkapeura fizika és matek tanár. De nem csak ebben a minőségében van ma itt, hanem kidolgozott egy úgynevezett személyre szabott tanulási modellt, amellyel kapcsolatban nem csak ő, de ő nagy bizalommal azt állítja, hogy nem csak a saját tantárgyaiban és a saját iskolájában, hanem más tantárgyakban és az összes más iskolában is alkalmazható. Ez már bizonyított, finn tanárok ezreinek nyújtott segítséget az a modell, amelyet Pekka kidolgozott. Mi az, hogy személyre szabott tanulási modell? Mi az, hogy fordított tanulás? Mi köze van az oktatáshoz, a tanításhoz, a vállalkozásra neveléshez? Fogadják szeretettel Pekkapeurát!
Thank you for really kind words and hello everyone. It's nice to be here again. I really was here last time about 6 months ago in Future Works Festival. How many of you were there? Okay, there are a couple of you. What I'm going to talk you about today is a story of mine. I'm a teacher. I have been teaching math and physics for the past 10 years. And I really love to be a teacher. And I really love to be a teacher, especially in Finland, for 2 reasons. One of the reasons is that our system is quite bad. There is a lot of things that we could do better. And as Lena mentioned, when the PISA results came out, we were a bit stunned why we are in the top of the world, what's happening there. And my theory is that if you compare education cultures that are really bad cultures, and if you compare them, well, one of them could look like a bit better than the other ones. But the truth is that we could do a lot better. The second reason why I love to be a teacher, the first one is that there is a lot to do. And the second reason is that we can do it. Especially in Finland, we have the autonomy to do whatever we want in the classroom. We can choose our methods and the way of teaching. And that's a possibility for us to try to do right. We have the possibility to do good things. So in a human nature, if you are able to help other people, you will try to do it. Okay, when I started as a teacher, the first 2 years were, again, really bad years for me. I felt sad and it felt bad inside me after every lesson because I felt a big pressure. There was so much to teach, and I tried to teach and teach and teach. There was so little time, and then the learning results wasn't as good as I would like them to be. But then I start to make small changes. And the first change what I made was it was a math course, and 7 weeks long math course, And in the first day, in the first lesson, I usually give them homework, like 3 tasks, 4 tasks for home. But now in the first day, I gave them 80 tasks, 8-1. So instead of giving homework for 1 day, I gave them the task for 7 weeks. And usually before that, I had things we do in school and things we do at home. So what we do in school and the homework. But now when I gave them all the tasks, the 7 weeks task, we don't have a schoolwork and homework, but we have something that we do for learning. And what happened when I gave my students the 7 week long tasks? Well, after 2 weeks, first one came to me and said, I have done everything. And actually at that point, that was the key point when my thinking changed. Because now I noticed this girl is really clever. She loves math. She did every task in 2 weeks. And what I said to her was, okay, see you in 4 weeks in the test. Because she already had learned everything. And I noticed, okay, I have a clever student and I have nothing to offer her. So then I started to study how I can recognize the students that loves learning and how I can support them. At the same time, the students that usually struggled the most, had the most difficulties in learning, at that moment they said that we don't feel stressed anymore. Because if I start learning this small thing, you don't check it today, tomorrow, if I have done it or not. I can continue learning tomorrow. And if I don't learn it then, I can continue learning later. So the weakest students, the ones who needed the more time, they now have more time. So I have been doing small changes in my work for the past 8 years. And now I show you the theory that I have in my mind, what's in this whole learning process. And if you want to have these slides, here is a link. Every slides are in the internet right now. If you have a smartphone, you can open this right now. And the ones who take this link, there is a special prize for you here. I don't tell what it is, but there's a special prize. Okay, I tell you. Now I explain only about the theory and how I think about teaching, but there's a 12-minute video about example, how I do it in practice. So with the video you will understand a bit more what I'm trying to say now. Okay, this is a theory that Marika Toivola has made. She is doing her doctoral thesis about flipped learning, about what's happening in the world and what's happening in Finland in the field of education. And this is published last year in Germany, Hamburg, in the world's biggest educational conference in math education. There is 3 parts. The green one, student, the blue one, teacher, and the yellow one, what's happening in the classroom. And I start with the green one, the student. Every student wants to learn more. Every human being wants to learn more. We have a great motivation about learning. And in what age is a student capable of taking full responsibility of their learning? At what age is a human being capable of taking full responsibility of their learning? The age is somewhere between 6 or 7 months. So when you have a baby, and when a small baby is learning how to walk, what kind of national curriculum you have for teaching how to walk? Because we don't have any. We know that humans want to learn how to walk. We want to learn how to speak, and the parents are not teaching. They are creating an environment where it's safe to learn how to walk, how to speak. And in school, we are telling the kids what you are not allowed to learn. Because in school we want to teach them different things, but there's a limit what we are teaching them. And everything that's out of the limit, there's no time or possibilities to learn those skills. So there's what the students want to learn and what we want them to learn or what we want to teach them. They can be, they don't interact all the time. But the motivation is really important thing in learning. We can support motivation. There is 4 things in this theory that supports the motivation. A zone of proximal development, self-paced learning, self-regulation, and autonomy. How many of you know this Vygotsky's theory about zone of proximal development? Or then you just don't understand what I'm talking. But the zone of proximal development is the place where you can learn. It's the place where your skills and what you are learning meet. Or what you are learning, it's just above your skills. I mean that you cannot learn things that you already know. You cannot learn things that you already know that are really easy to you. And you cannot learn things that are way too high for you, too difficult. You feel that I never can learn this. And in the between is the zone of proximal development. Something you don't know yet, but you have the feeling that, okay, I can learn that. That's not too difficult for me. And for Finland, in Finland we have a really difficult situation because, as Leena mentioned you earlier, among 15-year-old students, so in the 9th grade, among 15-year-old students, the gap between the best students and the weakest students is 7 school years. Among the 15-year-old students, if we take 5% of the best students and 5% of the weakest students, it's 7 school years. So it means that the zone of proximal development is in the different location for every kid. If you have a group of 30 students, the mental place where everyone can learn is in a different location. So how can you teach them? It feels almost like impossible, but it can be done. And what we use is self-paced learning. okay, you know this, and you need that amount of time. Okay, I help you, and I give you as much time as you need. Okay, this student don't need so much time, you can move ahead. Self-regulation and autonomy is really important thing. But we have this extrinsic motivation, external motivation, and internal motivation. If you use external motivation, like rewards or a stick you have to learn, science is saying that that's not really effective. But we cannot use the internal motivation either, because it's not possible for us to let the students decide what to learn. It's not possible. Because they want to learn how to climb a tree, and I want them to learn math. So it's not possible. So what we have is something between there, and it's autonomial motivation. So we give them freedom of choice. What you want to learn in math. So you can learn this thing in math, or you can learn this thing in math. You now make a choice. So the feeling of autonomy inside the student is increasing, and it increases motivation a bit. The teacher, I have good news for teachers. We have tons of good solutions how to support motivation. We have a lot of tools. The question is what the tools are and how can I use them. The most interesting part for me is what's happening in the classroom, the collaborative learning. What is happening inside the classroom? And collaborative learning means that we study together, but we don't have the same goals or same objectives. The collaborative learning means that no one is in depth for others. No one has to work for others. Everyone is working for their own goals, but everyone can help to each other if they want. And every people wants to learn, but everyone also wants to make good for other people. So we could build a school with on these two. There is two important things that needs to happen if you want to have a classroom that works together and where the kids are learning from themselves. And one is heterogeneity. It's a good thing that we have a big gap in knowledge in the same age group, because it's normal. We are not army of clones. Every single one in this room are different. And that means that we could and we can learn from each other if we just interact. And I think the most important thing for getting the interaction is this physical atmosphere. And it doesn't mean just the walls or the tables or the chairs, but also the people. How many of you have read or heard about the Google's quest for building a perfect team? Yeah, it was published in New York Times last year. Google, how many of you knows Google? Great. Multi-billion-dollar company that are the best in the world in the field what they are doing. And they have hundreds of really good teams. Teams that can work together, can learn from each other, and are working in high level. And they studied those teams. And what combines, or what is the same thing in every team is psychological safety. They find only one thing that's common in every team, and it's in English psychological safety. So that it means that everyone in the team feels safe there. Everyone feels safe, so they can give the best of them for others. And then the team is working. So how to create psychological safety in a classroom? How we can build a classroom or a small team or a school where everyone feels safe? That's a question that I'm trying to solve in Finland. We wrote a book about this. I just show you a small slide. There's this summary of the book, and it's the same picture, but unfortunately this is in Finnish. The English version is published next week. So this is really big book, and I hope that someday you will have also Hungarian version of this. But I want to talk about a little about where we start in this book and how you build a new myth in learning, and why the schools look, or why the schools are the way they are. I mean, everyone is looking to Finland now. Everyone thinks that the Finnish system is the best. Well, I think it's a myth, because when I'm talking to every teacher in different countries, we are doing the same job in our classroom than you are doing in your classroom. It looks the same. And then the question why we have a bit higher scores, I think it's in our whole culture, not our education culture, but the whole culture where we are living in. There are some advantages that we have. But the education culture, it's the same in many countries, and why it's the same? It's because the collective imagination of human beings. Humans are the only species that have this collective imagination. That means that we all have the same image of school in our imagination. If we wouldn't have this imagination, this collective imagination, the maximum size of society is 150 units. But in Finland we have more than 5 million people, and we can work together because we have this collective imagination in every part of our world. We understand the laws. If we are driving, everyone knows the rules how to drive, and we can work together. Everyone has the same imagination how everything works. And that's why you can't change the school. Because we know what the school is looking like, and everyone is working in the same way. And it makes it fixed state. But if we want to change the school, that's my passion. I want to change the Finnish education culture. And how it can be done, we need to have a common myth, or we need to have an image of something else. And then we need to have enough people to have the same image, and then enough people has to work towards that. And this theory is change theory. So it's nothing more. But I have 3 quotes how I understand this whole theory, because it's too much even for me. So I simplify it in 3 quotes. The first is this: learning is hard work. And as a teacher, this is really easy for me to see in classroom. Is this happening or not? Are the students working hard for their learning or not? So when I enter the classroom, I never start the lesson because my students needs to start the lesson themselves. Because I don't want to learn for them. We teachers, we can try to learn for our students, but it's impossible. They need to do the work. So how the classroom should be organized is that every student is working hard for their learning. And you can try to reward them. You can try to take test and say you need to learn because the test. But it's not working in the long term. You need to do something else. The second key thought that I have in learning is this. This is from this Vygotsky's theory, as I mentioned earlier. But this cognitive development stems from social interactions. We learn when we are interacting with others. So in classroom, this is not how my classroom looks like. In my classrooms, the students are not facing here, they are facing to each others, so that they can interact with them. They can interact themselves all the time, from the first minute to the last minute in the lesson. And then I am there somewhere between them. And the final one is the assessment is the best way to direct your teaching. So direct your assessment towards your values. What is the most important thing for you in your life? Or what's the most important value that you have? Then you should direct your assessment towards those values. For example, if you think that the most important thing in the world is that people are nice together and they help each other, then you need to assess that. Because students are doing what you are assessing. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I have a little gift for those who took the link. There is an example about the tools that I use for assessment and how I direct my assessment. So, thank you.